Welcome to the Financial Advisory Podcast, hosted by yours truly, Anthony Ficara.
Well, welcome everybody to another episode of the Financial Advisory Podcast. Today's guest is kind of like me looking into the future of myself in an alternate universe if I didn't have to censor some of the stuff I say on the Instagram. If some of you guys who know me from a while ago, used to know, you probably dig up some old Facebook posts that were pretty out there. And Dominick Izzo is living that dream right now for me. So welcome to the show, Dominick.
I appreciate you having me. Thanks, man.
Yeah. So I followed you on Instagram a while ago and love the content, love what you're doing, love that you're not afraid to say whatever the fuck you want. I think it's great. Is that who you've always been before Instagram and social media, or have you emphasized it now that you're in social media?
I think there was a time I was a really, really big people pleaser, my 20s and my 30s. I think I know exactly when it was. I taught martial arts on YouTube, and I had a YouTube channel that was in the infant stages of growing, and I was being very respectful to the art that I do and the people who were better than me and taught before me. And one day, this was 2012, I had too much coffee, and I was me. I just said, what the hell, I'm going to talk about my shit. And I got a little political in the martial arts world, which politics is everywhere, and spoke my piece and said what I thought. And the next thing you know, I go from a 200 subscriber YouTube channel to a 5,000 YouTube subscriber channel based off a video that got 900,000 views because I said what I said. And then I kept going that route. I got 150,000 subscribers on that channel. It was great. And I learned that, holy shit, if you actually speak like a human being, people resonate. They could listen. They could not like it. They don't have to agree with you. So every avenue, it didn't matter if it was faith or if it was law enforcement or if it was politics, I speak exactly what I'm thinking. And it just, people will listen to either agree, to disagree, or to offer their own opinion.
Yeah, I think that's great. I think that too many people are afraid to say what they want to say because they're afraid of, I think it goes back to parenting the most. I think parents ruin, families by passing on generational trauma. Well, grandma didn't like this and dad doesn't like this, and we're going to keep on passing this shit down the line. And everyone's always afraid of disappointing their parents or saying what they want to say. That then goes into the workplace. That goes into their friendship. It's just a weird dynamic that most people are afraid to say what they actually want to say. But when they do, or if someone does break out of that mold, it's like, well, fuck, that was fun. That worked, And you hear a lot more people when they actually do it. It's like, okay, this is actually who I am. And then they find success or more success doing that. So
that's very, very true.
So it sounds like, I did some research on you. Used to be a cop. Do you want to talk about, I want to get into some heavy stuff about cops as far as the fuckery and corruption and stuff. But when you were a cop, what made you want to be a cop, and what made you want to stop being a cop?
So two different cycles of my law enforcement career. In 2001, I got hired, and I wanted a secure job. I was a nightclub bartender at a 4 a.m. bar in the suburbs of Chicago, and I was getting tired of it. I was 26 years old, I was 25, and I was just about to turn 26, and I filled out an application. And from the day I filled out the application and dropped it off to the time I got hired was 4 weeks. And I kept hearing the horror stories. Everyone's like, oh, my God, it took me 9 or 10 tests to get hired. And I was like, I'm going to take the first thing that comes my way. Took that, and I literally wanted a secure job. I went from being 25. I just turned 26, March of 2001, making $75,000 a year cash, where it was like, you work 5 hours a day. That was my job as a bartender, and then all the way to $36,000 a year taxed. Yeah. It was a huge wake-up call. I did it for several years. I thought that I was getting involved in something with integrity, and it turned out it was the same damn thing as every other business on the planet. You had your drama, you had your bullshit, you had your cliques, you had your politics, and I retired. Well, I left in 2005 to go back into the bar industry, to go into the gym industry. I wanted to explore that. I didn't last too long. I took a part-time job as a cop in 2006. That lasted a couple of years. And then finally I went, screw this, I'm done. I'm going to walk away from this for a while. And then I went back again at 39 years old. And that time I went back with the ideals of, if I'm going back, I want to explore what this job is going to do for me. And I learned that is actually the single greatest opportunity as a police officer to explore the best sides of yourselves. So the first time it was just a job. I wanted security. I wanted benefits. I wanted a pension. I was getting older. I knew I couldn't bartend in my 40s and 50s and 60s as a career. But the second time I went back, I was like, damn, I mean, this is an opportunity for me to really become the best human being possible, because you're a grown adult and somebody comes over. I don't care if they smash your mailbox or they kidnap your dog or shoot up your house. You're asking another grown adult to solve your problems. That's a pride issue. So when I started to really see that and go, wow, I have a responsibility to be the best version of myself, I took the job a lot seriously. I fell in love with it. And I excelled. I was fired for discovering our body cameras were recording us nonstop. They had a feature, I'd come into the PD one day and there's me taking a piss on our computer, and you could read my text messages to my girlfriend. You could see me enter my passcode, and I started looking because somebody logged in with the deputy chief's information, and they left the screen up, and he had full access and the chief had full access, and we just saw thousands of hours of body camera footage that just should not have existed. So
are you talking like you said 20 all the time, like while you're clocked in, as you clock in, it turns on, or like are these going home with you at all? How's that look?
No, we had WatchGuard body cameras, and they were at the PD. So whenever they were not docked, with the second you take them out of the dock,
okay,
they started to record. Axon just put something out on their website that said that they record 18 hours of footage, even if an officer isn't pushing the button. We had the same thing. They recorded and stored 7 minutes and 1 second of footage. So you take a 12-hour shift and you divide that by 7 minute 1 seconds. That's how many files you had for that day. So you had your entire day. I filed a lawsuit with 13 other officers. They found a department policy like 8 months after I filed it to ding me on. They said, hey, we got you, resign or we'll fire you. I said, fuck you, fire me. They fired me. It took 3 years of hell. Got my job back. I got reinstated, and then I retired after that was all. I just wanted my name cleared. I said I did nothing fucking wrong, and I fought it. I won, and that was it.
That's awesome. What year was that?
That was 2019. 2016 is when it happened. 2019 is when it all got settled.
That's awesome. So I think that the body cam stuff, I love that topic because I think it goes both ways. I think that maybe initially there's good intentions. I think they can exonerate officers and help them. It can also hold officers accountable. But I feel like, I don't know, it's a weird thing. I don't know where the line should be. Obviously, when you're taking a piss and texting your girlfriend should not be part of it. But then how do you hold the officer accountable when it needs to be on, right? How to keep him from turning it off when he's about to smash some fucking guy's skull in or something like that, right?
24/7. I think they should be streaming 24/7. I've said for years, once you had Facebook Live technology, it should have been all right. You work for Anytown USA, and they've got a town of 25 officers, and they've got a Facebook page. That Facebook page should have, well, here's your lineup for tonight. On the shift is Officer Jones, Officer Smith, Officer Bill, and Officer Dave, and they're all going to be on the street patrolling between 5 p.m. and 5 a.m. And then you have access. Who's ever live stream you want. We have live stream for everything else. We don't live stream law enforcement. Well, we got to protect the victims. We got to protect the integrity of the scene. Are you kidding me? No, they should be live streaming everything 24/7. So
do you think it helps the officer or helps the public?
Helps the officer, because you know what? You're gonna get the cop walking up to the car, and the Karen is a complete fucking cunt, and then you're gonna get the cop's reality goes back to the car and he goes, what a fucking cunt, and you can alleviate.
That's weird. You can also like relate to that, right? Like you can relate to that human side of it. So that brings me to another question about the human element versus, by the book and all that stuff. I mean, racial prejudice has been a hot topic for a few years. Seems like maybe it's calmed down a little bit recently, but a couple of years ago it was a really hot topic. And when you're in the suburbs of Chicago, right? Chicago's a pretty shitty area in some spots, and that's where I grew up in the same spot near where you're at. You travel the country, and some places are worse than others, right? But if you're in a shitty area and you're a cop, how do you remove that human element of just understanding statistics and patterns, but then not trying to apply that to race or situations, but also keep yourself safe? It's such a fucking gray area. How do you do it?
Pattern recognition. You stop thinking about it. Certain cultures commit certain crimes, and cultures consist of two primary factors: what language you speak and how you look. It's as simple as that. If
Sure.
somebody off the boat from China moved here in the 50s, they're not going to go into live in a black neighborhood. They're going to find other people who have the same eyes, skin, same language, and they're going to create Chinatown there. You're going to create Little Italy. You're going to create Ukrainian village. So you stick within your culture, your community, and then from that is a subsection of culture. I'm sorry, I'm so tired of people not relating. Well, it's racial. Well, fuck it is then. Because blacks commit a certain type of crime, whites commit a certain type of crime, Asians commit a certain type of crime. What's the big problem? Everybody celebrates. Everybody celebrates their specific pride, right? You got gay pride, you've got Italian parade, you've got Black History Month. Everybody will listen to their favorite comedian. Sebastian Maniscalco goes out and he talks about the Entenmann's coffee cake on the table. And I swear to God, he was talking about my fucking family, how the lights were turned up. Don't let anybody know. I'm like, holy shit. So Italians have a culture. Hispanics have a culture. Dat Fang, who won the Last Comic Standing, a dozen years ago, who specifically made fun of his culture to win it. We all celebrate our culture with honors and with humor and with the glowing shit, but never with the crime. Yeah. So you could have Dave Chappelle talking about weed all day long if it's for comic's sake, because the black culture and weed is synonymous. But when it comes down to the crimes they commit and weed's correlated to that, no, you can't do it. It's racial. Fuck you. Start admitting culture and crime coexist with each other. It's pattern recognition. Until they're willing to admit that, then they deserve everything they get as far as crying about racism.
And you think that the police, as the department, or is it legislation and jurisdiction? Like who can help fix that? I mean, internally as a cop, you're kind of handcuffed to whatever laws are in place at the time and whatever gets prosecuted, right? I mean, what can you do as a cop?
We have an epidemic of stupid police officers on the street, and that started with all these new hires. The worst thing they ever did was require college education. So you got a unintelligent, street smart, non-life experience 23-year-old goes in the street, and I don't know how old you are, but all of a sudden you're
how old do I look? I don't look good on camera. I'm 38.
Okay, I was gonna say mid-30s. So you're 30 years old, and all of a sudden, whoever you're with in your house, you guys are having a loud argument, and your neighbors call 911. It's an argument. Next thing you know, you got some college graduate, 23-year-old boy shows up at your door saying, I have to come in, exigent circumstances, I can investigate this. And they have no idea what life is like with an argument. Then they got to buy the book, right? Maybe you sat there and you were talking to her and you're grabbing her by the shoulder saying, hey, no, we got to work this out. And then he sees visible red marks indicative of physical insulting contact. And then you're going to jail. And then your life is fucking over. We have people who don't exercise common sense. We have command staff that is beholden to their superiors, which is beholden to the mayors who appoint them if they're chief, or the citizens if they are elected by as a sheriff. And then you get policymakers, and the cop is always strung up. I believe in a system of either preach, don't cite or don't arrest, or arrest and cite and don't fucking preach. One or the other. But one of the worst things we have right now is we have a very immature police on the street, especially with TikTok and Facebook and Instagram, all these fucking influencers who have no idea what the job is. I swear to God, they get the job for the badge for social media clout, and they pollute the system. It needs to be people who are active in the community, people who understand the community, and then police who are allowed to police properly within that community, but you'll never get it because you don't have a command staff that backs up the decisions patrol officers make, and they throw them to the fucking wolves every time the media's on them.
What if they took some of that money they're sending to Ukraine and used that to raise the pay for cops, which would raise the standard, and now you have the ability to have a job that's paying $200,000 a year, $300,000, and now people want it, and now if you fuck off, we can get rid of you. I mean, would that make sense?
I don't agree with that either. I agree. No? I don't think that. Why is the pay? The pay shouldn't be an incentive. I made $36,000 a year as a cop.
Yeah, but I get that. But it is, though. There's nothing we can do about that.
I got to do more than you ever could. I could speed and never get a ticket. If I was,
there's incentives there's non-cash incentives, definitely.
So if cash is the deciding factor for somebody having integrity, I don't want that person to begin with. I get the argument, but it's a character issue. It's a character issue. And
but these men you can attract. I love what you're saying, and I love the fact that it's character, not cash. But with just any job, quality goes up with cash, not integrity maybe, but quality of either human individuals, quality of their just overall well-being, the quality of the person that can include their integrity. the overall person candidate quality will go up, I believe, with higher pay, and get people that will be less likely to be a shithead over the risk of losing their job versus, knowing they can't fill my spot. Fuck it, I'll do whatever I want. Right? I think there's
coming from the position, I disagree because I've seen command staff that is well within the six figures who have less integrity than most people. So again, it's
power corruption then, right? Yeah. Power corruption. Yeah.
Just knowing what the job is.
How do we fix it then? How do we fix it? Because I always love the debate. Like, what do we do? What can we do?
Well, your standards you go through the roof, and I compare it to like Olympic athletes. It blows me away how every time I talk about standards, people are like, well, you got to raise the pay. Well, it hit me. I went to a Fourth Amendment class in 2014, and it was like 40 of us in the class, and there was patrol, there was command staff sergeants and lieutenants, and we got this ball buster of an instructor. He was a Secret Service agent from the Jimmy Carter administration. And normally when law enforcement classes, you go and you fuck around. It was a week-long class, 40 hours. You're away from the PDA, you get to sit in air conditioning and do nothing. Yeah. And you get there at 8 o'clock and you're out of there by 3, even though the goes to 5 because they know you got to drive home. This motherfucker kept us till 5:30, 6 o'clock every day, including Friday. We're like, what the hell?
Go home day. Yeah, what the fuck?
It was the Fourth Amendment. Yeah. I get an email about 2 months after the class, and it was a congratulatory email from this man saying, out of all the people in the class, you were the only officer with a perfect score on the Fourth Amendment. And I bragged about it. I was up online going, fuck yeah, it's that. And my buddy, who was a cop at the time, goes, that's complete horseshit. He goes, every single cop should have gotten a perfect score on that. It's Fourth Amendment. It's what you do. And I started to think about it. In law enforcement, we had a physical fitness standard to get in, and it's the cheapest, easiest shit on the planet. And then you have the Constitution, you have state laws, your village ordinances. And if you asked me, maybe 10 years ago, hey, what's the Illinois vehicle code for speeding? I may be able to go 11601-B, but I can't cite to you what that is. And then I would go, why the fuck can't I? If I'm enforcing something, why don't I know everything about it? And and I looked at everything. You have professional athletes. Again, it's the pay. You have Olympic athletes. I think it's more specifically with athletes or artists and musicians who will play their guitar for fucking 1,000,000 hours to perfect something. But we don't have men and women who will perfect what they enforce and hold themselves to a higher standard. That to me is where you have to start. It blows me away how we all said it in the academy. Well, I'm holding myself to a higher standard. Really? You go ahead and recite what battery is in the state of Illinois. What's the elements of the crime? Well, I just know I can. What's Pennsylvania versus Mims? Well, I just know I can. So it's standards, and standards is an individual thing. And again, I didn't have it till it was later on in my career, and I was pulling people over. It was like I was a top DUI enforcer, and I'm pulling people over for the DUIs, and we were enforcing. You do 4 tests or 3 tests: a walk and turn test, a standing balance test, and an eye test, which is called a horizontal gaze nystagmus test. And then when I was what's nystagmus? Well, I couldn't fucking. I'm like, man, I don't know what I'm talking about here. So it's standards, and I think that comes with personal accountability.
Okay. I like it. I love the answer because I think a lot of people don't know enough. They haven't been on the inside. They don't have the drive that you do about it, and you haven't, you haven't seen. Most people haven't seen both sides of it, right? They haven't seen, things you've gone through, or been on the outside now too. But you bring up a good point about being pulled over. And I have the questions written down here. I have some young drivers in my family. My daughter's 17. My son has a permit. He's 15. Like, what do you recommend? What do you tell? Do you have any kids, by the way?
No.
Okay. What would you tell someone if you're 17 years old, you're getting pulled over for the first time without anybody else in the car? What do you tell them? How do you act?
Shut the fuck up and comply. Have your driver's license and insurance ready.
Yep.
Roll the window down. You could roll it down halfway. You could roll it down all the way. You could crack it, whatever you want to do. Have your hands. Mike Brown in Chicago, one of the greatest firearms trainers, actually, if not the greatest firearm trainer in the nation, teaches his people. He's also a former cop, and he's an adjunct professor. He teaches his people put their palms.
I've seen his videos, I think. Yes. Yeah.
Will, I think it's a brilliant tactic, so the cop can't say anything. And don't answer questions. Do not.
Hey, guys, sorry to interrupt, but we got to talk about one of our sponsors. Want to give a shout out to a company that's been helping me out, Momentum Commercial Capital. They offer help with business funding from working capital, equipment financing, SBA loans, and investment real estate financing, with options from single-family rentals up to large commercial properties. They also work with syndications to source funding. So if you're in a business or in real estate investing, or even just looking to get into them, check out Momentum Commercial Capital. Ask for Greg Funk and tell him I referred you. Once again, guys, if you are in need of any of these services, be sure to check them out at momentum-commercial-capital.com today.
Under any circumstances, talk to the police. None. Where are you coming from? Sorry, officer, I'm not trying to be confrontational. Just what else do you need from me? Am I obligated to answer your questions? No, I'm not. I respectfully decline. It's simple as that. Police are not your fucking friends.
Now, I have everything you just said is what I told my daughter, right? Just here you go, have your shit ready, roll the windows down, because if you got tinted windows, just like make the cop as comfortable as possible, as quick as possible, right? Turn the car off, windows down, whatever you can do, right? Now, that being said, I've never been pulled over when I didn't have it coming, right? So almost immediately, I'm always kind of guilty conscious, like, fuck, I know I was hauling ass. Hopefully it gives you, so I'm always like polite, and I don't answer questions, but I'm not trying to be the guy who says, I'm not answering questions, here's my shit, shut up, if I don't get a ticket. I've always been the other way. I've been friendly, and it seemingly has worked for me. Maybe it's the white privilege, maybe I'm getting a little older, and I'm getting more warnings than I used to get, but that has worked for me. What do you say to that, or what do you suggest? I mean,
I think it feeds into ego, and I have such a problem with it. The cops are owed zero respect just because they wear the uniform. I put up a post on Facebook like 5 years ago, and I asked a question. I said, how many of you base your driver's issuance of a citation on the attitude or the language of the driver? You asked that.
It's probably a lot. It's very high, yeah.
Almost all of them.
Yeah,
every single one of them. And I went, holy shit, you guys just admitted.
And it shouldn't be that way. And it shouldn't be that way. I agree it shouldn't be that way. 100%. I'm just looking for advice to, my kids, I'm telling them, hey, less is more. Don't say a word. Just fucking be cool, hand them your shit, and don't be confrontational, right?
Well, now all of a sudden, if you don't talk to the cop, but if you don't talk to the cop, maybe the cop thinks it's an attitude. So
exactly. That's the gray area. That's the issue, is like, when you start doing that, I know, I agree. You start cracking the window, handing your shit, not saying a word. Well, now all of a sudden you're the asshole, and you're getting the ticket. And it's like, well, what's the goal here? The goal is, I was hauling ass. I don't want a fucking ticket. I know I should get one, but how do I not get the ticket? And in my experience, what I've always done is, hey, yep, sorry, didn't realize, whatever fucking bullshit I can make up. I blame people in the car of distracting me, of distracting me with fucking whatever. And I've usually gotten warnings. It cracks me up, because I agree with what you're saying, is that it should be a little more black and white. I've received, I've come out on top by talking to cops and getting out of tickets that maybe I shouldn't have, or had I been an asshole, I would have gotten a ticket. Or not even an asshole, been the guy who rolls the window down a little bit and hands me my stuff and doesn't say a word, I would have gotten tickets, right? So it's kind of a weird.
We need to eliminate.
I agree.
We need to eliminate. There's only one of two solutions: eliminate traffic citations, or make them 100% mandatory with zero discretion. So
if you eliminate them, do people stop speeding?
Well, if you eliminate them, do they stop speeding? How does the cop stop you? How does a cop issuing you a traffic citation stop you from speeding?
Does it stop me from speeding? No, it does keep me from going off the rails. I mean, I don't know. I got some fast cars, and if it wasn't for the fear of getting pulled over, there may be, right.
Because it's a monetary consequence that the courts issue you a citation on, right?
Correct.
And the cops think that it's their job to correct your behavior, when it's not. It's the court's job. This is what I think. This is my views. And I looked at it as, I got to know Sheriff Richard Mack, who's the president of the Constitutional Sheriffs and Peace Officers Association. And I think that, to a degree, that traffic citations fines are unconstitutional. You have to take the day off work to go to court to fight. You lose money. The court fines are hefty. It's not proportional to whatnot. Sure. And then if you have to pay for the punishment for it as well, too. If you're speeding and I pull you over, and this is a cop's perspective, and I go, hey, Anthony, do me a favor. You were doing 15 over. Do me a big favor. Just slow down, man, would you? If I issue you a citation, or I give you a warning, and you've got six blocks to go, whether you're out on my town, I have no control over what you do. In my view, pull you over. Hey, I caught you doing 35 and a 20. Do me a favor, keep it slow. I stopped you. I address the behavior. I have no control over what you're going to do. The only time a citation, if a citation is done by a traffic Nazi who just writes fucking regardless and doesn't say shit, then boom, you're done. Then you're documenting the behavior unbiasedly, sending them to court. I agree with that. But if you're issuing a citation based off of what somebody's saying to you,
or their looks, or their car, or their
no, you're kissing my ass. You're feeding my ego. So we had the whole thing, like I said. And again, he's not here to defend himself, but a lot of people like Frank Sloop, who does the Fridays with Frank online. He's with a sheriff's department in Arizona, and people love him because he talks to people like they're pieces of shit while he's issuing citations. If you're going to talk to them like they're pieces of shit, don't issue a citation. If you don't issue a citation, then you can. So it's one way or the other.
And it's one or the other, right? Yeah. And I've been on both sides. I got on one time, again, I've never, and I'll be on record, I've never been pulled over when I didn't have it coming. I remember one time I was getting on the highway and the merging line was forever. I went around the shoulder, kept going. Well, fucking Dick Tracy's waiting in line. Of course he is. And then gets out, pulls me over. All he wants to do is yell at me, right? He doesn't want any of my shit. He just, window down, he's fucking yelling and screaming. I'm like, hey, you're right. I'm trying to defuse it, try to hand him my shit. He goes, put that shit away, and then just walks away. Like, I think all he wanted was the ability to fucking yell at somebody that day, right?
It blows me away because everyone will take it.
Crazy.
God forbid you look at a cop and go, you know what? Do what you want. Don't fucking talk to me this way. You got to arrest me. You got to go ahead and cite me. Do it. Excellent. Exercise professionalism and watch how you fucking speak to me. That's how it should be done.
Yeah. I didn't even have a chance to get to that. I was just almost laughing, right? It was almost like, is this guy fucking for real? Like, it was so taken off guard. But yeah, I think that, the human element is a tough one to eliminate, right? Because you're always going to have the greed, the power, the ego, but we don't want RoboCop out there either, right? Like actual fucking machines doing this job. We don't want that. So like it's a tough one to navigate. It's not something that I think is.
Everybody wants to humanize the badge. It's a big movement, right? But you want to be humanized the badge, you got to show you're worthy of being humanized first, and they don't.
I agree.
Do that. That's something.
And I think it should be more black and white. There should be removing bias. But then there's also the gray area of, like we talked about earlier, when you come into a house, there's a domestic dispute. Was there actually a fucking altercation? Did he actually hit her? Or did he put his hands on her to calm her down? Or was he the victim, right? Like, there's human element to everything. And it's really hard, I think, to black and white it, but sometimes you want it black and white. It's fucking, I guess the moral of all of this, I don't envy police officers. I think they have a shitty job, to be honest. I think it's because of like the things you're talking about, right? Like, you have this high standard. You think anyone that doesn't hit this standard is not doing a good job, right? Conversely, the public's eye is like, well, if he is holding that high standard, he's an asshole, or he's this, or he's that. It's like nobody gets happy. It's a sometimes thankless job unless you really fucking need them, in a weird spot. It's just a weird.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
It's a job. It is a job. It is a career. It's a way to earn money for your family.
That's why I don't think.
But it's unlike any other jobs, right?
The mob, the angry mob, is insane. You got either those who lick the boots, who they think that a cop screaming at somebody is the greatest thing in the world because John Doe grew up in a household where he was never disciplined, so the cop on the street gives him discipline. It's not the fucking job of the cop.
His job.
No. And everybody loves that until it happens to you. You get somebody's head bounced off a squad car, and you get the bootlickers who are just like, this is the greatest thing ever. My view is, I hope it happens to your fucking 65-year-old mother. I hope he runs across some cop who's got a chip on his shoulder, and she didn't do nothing. But next thing, it's like, hey, play stupid games, win stupid prizes, right? Then you got the people who hate cops who can't understand that it's a shit trickles downhill job. You are in a box by yourself. 8, 10, 12 hours a day. Most towns are not like Chicago or Boston or California with 2-man cars. You are and if you're in the Midwest, it's February, 2:00 in the morning, minus 2 degrees with the wind chill, and your sergeant texts you and says, don't forget to do foot patrol tonight. Are you out of your fucking mind? Then you got to run back to your car because the one person that was speeding, all of a sudden, now you got a hard on to do something, and whatever argument you had with your wife or your girlfriend earlier that night, it's Friday night, and she said, fuck you, I'm going to do what I want. Now she might be going out, jocking John down the street, and you don't know because you're trapped to work, and then your command staff is pressuring you. It is a petri dish for grown men and women to take all that stress, all that pressure, and take it out on the citizens because they fucking can, and they do it all the time.
What do you think? I mean, is there a fix? I love hearing, like, there is a problem. You're absolutely 100% right. There are problems, and I love that you highlight them because most people are afraid to. But what is the fix? Like, it's not a one size fits all. It's not an absolute fix. Like, what would you suggest? Like, what can we do?
That's the difficult part is I've got all the questions, but none of the solutions. And I bring up these arguments all the time because I'm hoping there's somebody smarter than me that can actually decipher the problem.
I love that. Yeah.
Everything's subjective. It's like the attitude problem. If I pull you over at a traffic stop and I'm like, how are you, sir? And you're like, hey, how are you? I might go, oh, I heard, hey, how are you? And that's an attitude problem. Or maybe you say nothing. You know what? You're having, hey, how are you? What's going on? And then, you start sucking your teeth sitting there. I'm like, oh, this person's getting a ticket. It's subjective. The attitude.
It is. Yeah.
And that's the same thing with citizen complaints. Because if I pull you over and I'm like, hey, Anthony, have a great day. It was great to come in contact with you today. And then you call my chief. The fuck is your officer using my first name on a traffic stop? Call me sir, God damn it. So how do you win? So
you don't win, right? Yeah.
You don't know the answer to this other than personal accountability and thinking. You took this job. You literally have more power than people truly understand. It is so fucking disturbing how much power street cops have. And then you let yourself go. Your education slips. You act like an asshole on fucking line. You gain 50 pounds because there's no more standard for fitness tests.
I want to talk about that. Yes.
Insane.
How is that a thing that you have to pass a fitness exam to get in, but not maintain it? Is there anything? Are people just loopholes, or is there absolutely no standard after that?
It's always been a union issue. There was a chief, I think, about 15 years ago that got voted out on a vote of no confidence because he tried to implement a mandatory fitness test. We tried to an annual fitness policy that dealt with discipline if you did not stay active. No, union fought it. We had it for about, I think, 6 months. And then a bunch of the older guys like, I'm not fucking running a mile and a half. I'm 58 years old. It's not going to fucking happen. So it blows me away.
There's also usually there's age, there's brackets, right? If you're 55, here's your requirement. If you're 25, here's your, either way, don't be a fucking fat ass. Like ultimately, don't be a fucking gigantic fat piece of shit. That's the standard. And pencil that in however you want to, but that's the standard. We're not looking for anyone to be a fucking Olympic athlete here, but look down, see your dick or don't. You know what I mean? Like that should be the standard.
It's a pride issue too. I ballooned up. I went from 175 to like 210, and I was like, okay, I can't run anymore. We got in 1 foot pursuit. I think like my last year on, and I went, "You're out of your fucking mind." Not happening. And it's because I'm older and I wait a little bit more. I'm like, no, dude. But the standard for the fitness test was ridiculous. A sit and reach, bench press, sit ups, and a mile and a half run. It's all a joke. It's antiquated. And then
again, but even that, like, okay, then there's a problem with an exam, right? There's got to be a practical exam that literally just weeds you out if you're fucking 80 pounds overweight, like, or something. There's got to be a bar we can hit. Like, we can all agree, Officer Johnson can't fucking move and sit in the car comfortably. We're afraid for his health. Like, that's got to be there's got to be a bar somewhere, right? I mean,
yeah, but the standards doesn't matter because you're not getting the quality hires. I just did a story yesterday about
that's part of it too, right?
San Antonio police officer. Some San Antonio police officer just got hired to a 2-man department in Texas, but he was fired for allegedly giving a homeless person a sandwich full of dog shit. And he had a second incident of where he smeared allegedly feces in a girl's restroom. So they're so low on the candidacy applicants out there. My department, when I left, we had 3 kids take my place. And I had heard like 4 months after they got out, they went to the academy, and then a month and a half on the street, you get 3 months of FTO. They were already released because they had no FTO to train them, and you had kids on your street with no fucking complete education policing who had the same authority to take your freedom and take your life as a seasoned 15-year veteran officer. So it's a mess. We just do not take policing standard seriously in the United States, and we chalk it up to, well, it's a hard job and they're humans too. We give them too much of a pass.
So you think that there's some like individual person that come along and start enforcing this? Is this at a presidential level? Is it Congress? Is it statewide? The governor? Like what could be?
Me. Should be me. Yeah. Trump should listen and fucking appoint me. I'll crack up the United States and have it running like fucking clockwork.
I think it'd be great. I think it definitely needs it. Especially when you saw all the I don't know. There's a lot of shit we see, but I also want to believe that we see a lot of the negative stuff more than we see the positive stuff, right? And there's going to be negativity that the silent majority, or what do they call it? The not silent majority, silent majority. No, the loud minority versus the silent majority? Like, there's more shit we see because it's negative than we see the positive. I mean, what do you think about that as far as being on the inside?
I used to do that whole thing. Well, it's just a few bad apples. Well, if you
I
found
believe that. I believe there's more than a few bad apples, but yeah.
The internet is showing us that. But if you had a cancer cell in your body, would you be fucking terrified?
Right.
So it went from it's a few bad apples to this non-stop like availability of video evidence of cops who are just abhorrent. And you still get people going, well, there's 1 million police interactions out there every day that go successfully. Yeah. But if there's 1,000 out there and out of those 1,000 people, somebody fucking lost their job because they got strung up on something that they had to go to jail for and they couldn't phone in their job the next day. Somebody got their head cracked open on a traffic stop. Somebody fucking died. How do you qualify the lives that were affected by the very minority of police officers who are substandard? I keep going back to sports. You know, any professional team. I can't picture, because it was my era, the 85 Bears, who were a Super Bowl champion team. I can't picture like one defensive lineman in the locker room fucking around, half-ass in practice, this and that, and the rest of the team going, what the fuck are you doing? They were either everybody pulls their weight 100% or the whole team doesn't go. It does not matter. You could be a 5'7" white male with gray hair or white hair and a white beard in Chicago area, or a 5'10" black officer on the East Coast, or a fucking 5'2" female Asian officer on the West Coast. Everybody associates with one another. It doesn't matter who you are, but everybody thinks they're an individual. They're special. I blame social media for this shit. Look at me. I'm Officer so-and-so. Come buy my hair care product shit. And it puts an individual instead of the mission forward.
Yeah. Do you think that there's, with the social media side of things, do you think that obviously with that, we've seen more availability to the fuckery and the corruption and shit we've seen. So there's a good there that came out of it. Now there's more shit going on than we knew about, right? That's a positive, but the negative is like you're saying, there's the influencer getting the badge, you know, for the notoriety or, you know, whatever. But was any of that stuff going on when you were coming up?
It was in the beginning. It was Facebook only, and it was Mike the Cop, Officer Daniels, myself, Tommy Norman, Brian Woodard, and a couple others, and we were on Facebook, and we gave police stuff. We didn't do it. We you know, next thing you know, we're individual. We're asked to speak across the nation, and you know, get kind of at events and whatnot. It was awesome. And now it literally has gotten to this influencer stage where you're lip syncing and you're dancing and you're fucking doing these hair care shit, and it's even worse. I blame Captain Clay Higgins, who's now Congressman Clay Higgins. I love the guy. I met the guy. I got to meet him in Washington, D.C. I think he's a class act. But he was the one who came out talking about the Sinaloa gang member, cartel members. We're coming after you. And all of a sudden that became cool.
Remember that. Yep.
Then you had Sheriff David Clark. Fucking became cool. Then all of a sudden, next thing you know, you got Sheriff Grady Judd of Polk County up on press conferences talking about how we just arrested this guy and showing his mugshot out and listing all the crimes. And I just did something on another sheriff in Florida who they literally just handcuff a kid off of a vehicle pursuit. And you got the camera, and the sheriff's like, hey, this is John Doe. John Doe thought he could speed through the streets today. And I'm going, and I put this on the sheriff's page. I go, do you fucking not understand due process?
No shit, right.
So now all of a sudden this kid will never get a fair fucking trial because you said
you probably did this guy a favor. You probably just gave him a favor. He's probably gonna get off now because of it.
The sheriff did not take me seriously. I've criticized Grady Judd for this shit, but they all want their 15 minutes of camera whore time. And the rest of the staff suffers. So I can't stand. I'm not a fan of female cops. The social media as influencers have just destroyed that. There's a ton of male cops who fucking market their shit like crazy. We started social media with law enforcement. These kids are fucking destroying law enforcement because of it. I think it's got to go.
You think that some of that, there's the fame and the power that comes with social media, or are they trying to create side hustles because they need to, because like that kind of goes back to the whole money thing again, right? If you're not, you mentioned the hair care products or whatever they're trying to sell or whatever fuckery or bullshit that they're trying to do. Could we eliminate that with better wages? Or do you think it's more of a money or a power thing or a notoriety thing?
What area in Chicago were you from?
I grew up west of Naperville, out in the sticks, but I was born in Berwyn, ended up moving out west and west
So
and
you
west.
know
Yeah.
the Berwyn, you know
Yeah.
that reference.
Oh yeah.
You know if you just took down what was it, 75th, and you went straight down to the city.
Yep.
So yeah, so you know that if you get to that area, anything south of 290 is going to be a shitty area. But
Yep.
a 5-year on Chicago cop makes $89,000 a year to police people who maybe make $20,000 a year if they're fucking lucky. I know the cost of living. I appreciate a side hustle. I can't stand leveraging your badge to promote your fucking
I agree with that.
business.
Right.
That's abhorrent. And it is when you talk about celebrity.
I'm not saying I like it. I'm just saying, how do we fix that?
You write policy
Yeah.
to 100% eliminate that. If you are caught leveraging your status as a
Yep.
police officer to promote a brand, you will be disciplined or terminated.
But that just goes back to the ability to recruit good hires and the lack of, that just kind of, it all.
What's up, guys? I'm sure you're enjoying the podcast. It's fucking awesome. I know. Okay. But let's talk about one of my sponsors, Alpine Moving Company. So we all know that moving sucks. Okay. Stop asking your buddies to fucking move you. It's always a problem. We know that. Be an adult. So use Alpine Moving Company. They know how to get the shit done. They offer residential and commercial moving. Also, they will move you anywhere within North America, anywhere in the lower 48, Canada, Mexico. And they're going to hook you up with 10% off. So discount code MOVE24. Make the right move.
To me, I know the whole money thing, and I'm not trying to stay on this topic, and I'm not trying to convince you, but I recognize the fact that it's the way I come from labor. Right? I used to build power lines, and I come from labor. So labor to me is the guys who are running the company are paying guys to run the company, right? So the guys who are actually on the streets, cops or the guys building power lines, the better you pay them, the better they want to stick around typically. Now, linemen are different than cops, 100%, right? Both degenerates in their own right, okay? But you take care of a lineman with his money and his hours and his all his shit, don't fuck him on his pay, he's less likely to steal from you or quit you or fuck up equipment on purpose, okay? He's not going to not do that. He's not going to eliminate that. He's less likely to. For a cop, I could only imagine the same thing could be true, is that if you paid them better, they're less likely to be shitheads, less likely to want to do side hustles, and less likely to quit over nothing, or maybe they care about their job more.
Do you think that will improve their standard of performance?
I think it could. I agree with it. Listen, I don't agree with the integrity part. Like, I agree with the whole integrity argument. I love that. But I'm also a realist, where I think that it's going to create a higher standard. Maybe they're not even better people, but they're at least they're.
Let's bump up the pay, and you're brand new, and your entry pay goes from $50,000 a year to $80,000 a year. I got 20 years on, and I'm at $250,000 a year. You still have the exact same political issues within the department, union issues, all this shit. There's a fucking domestic call. Is that $200,000 a year going to make me respond any faster to that domestic call, knowing I'm getting paid regardless one way or the other, or I'm just going to let you take it because you're the snapping young new guy, and I get to stand back and get no paper call with all that, with all of my experience, 20 years on, all that knowledge, all that. Where does it say in my union contract that I have to take all of my knowledge and put it to work to a higher standard just because you're paying me more?
I agree. I think that the argument could be, overall, and if we start over from the bottom, it would be easier. It's never going to happen. We have things already in place. If we start out with a better pay structure, maybe that could carry on, and your overall vibe of the job, the overall give a shit is just better from the beginning. Okay. But if you're taking someone who's disgruntled and been there for 20 years and all of a sudden they get a big pay bump, their ego gets up there, but they've got 20 years of hating their job or hating the fuckery or whatever you want to call it, right? So it'd be hard to do it in the middle of something, and then maybe that's not the answer. And I just know, as from labor, and I look at cops as labor, they're not management, or they're in management roles sometimes, but I'm gonna look at them as I look at linemen. The better the pay, the better the quality usually is.
If we do that, we have to change some things. You have to get rid of certifications, and you have to put licensing in place. I went to the academy for 3 months. Then it was 3 months.
Like individual licensing, like on each individual licensing. Yeah, I like that.
My sister, I went to the academy for 3 months, and then it was 3 months of FTO, and then I was on probation for another 6 months out of that. My sister cuts hair, and she had to go to school for Monday through Friday, 8 hours a day for a license for 11 months. 11 months to cut hair, and I went to school for the academy for 3
Dude, I
months.
agree with that so wholeheartedly. That's such a
Licensing,
fucked off
yeah,
situation there. Yep.
and we need to renew licensing every 2 years, like realtors or anything else out there. You need
Yeah.
to get rid of qualified immunity. You need to have personal liability insurance. And the problem, it's just like driving. Like you have a driver's license, you get 3 moving violations that are convicted. You can get 3 moving violations.
Yep.
The judge ultimately is going to convict you. So you can, you can prove your case and get it dismissed, but why risk it, right? So if that's the case, then you get 3 moving violations and it's conviction, you lose your license, suspended. Well, 3 complaints that are founded on you, founded after an investigation, you lose your fucking license. And all of a sudden, why? Cops don't care, because if I wind up doing something, if you trip, you fall, you break your face, and it's my fault, the village is paying out.
Yeah.
No, you should be
fuck I
paying
care.
monthly
Yeah, I
insurance.
agree.
So you pay out. Because why are we putting the taxpayers at this position? And then we need to raise the minimum age of entry to fucking 30. I'm so tired of 21-year-old children being on the street. I want 30-year-old adults, and I want to incentivize men who are in their 60s, 65 years old staying instead of retiring.
I like the idea of raising the age. The only problem that jumps out at me is if you're trying to get a 30-year-old man to start a career as a cop, what was he doing from age, I'm gonna say 21 to 30?
Hopefully,
Likely, but maybe military, maybe something cool, maybe he's getting his life together, whatever it is. Maybe it's a job. But if it's a good job, he's going to stay there. You're not going to recruit him away and go be a cop at 30 and start over. It'll be harder to do that, I think.
That's it. Well, that's the incentives. That's the incentives. It's like when
you raise the incentive, then now you have a better job. Yeah, I agree. That's where
servers, bartenders, car salesmen, people with people skills.
Yeah, people skills I think is a big one, because as we discussed earlier, that's a big part of the job. Is
everybody and their mother's fascinated with vehicle pursuits, and the Georgia Highway Patrol just wrecking cars for not using a fucking changing lane, and the shootings. 99% of what you do as a cop is barking dog complaint. Sally down the street, who's 89 years old, sees somebody in the bushes who's not there. You go do a premise check and leave. Yeah, you go hands-on depending upon the area you're at, and it's a fucking traffic arrest. It's a domestic arrest. It's retail theft. I pulled my gun all the time. I've only had the finger on the trigger once, and thank God I never had to pull it. So it's like we're so fascinated with the militarization of the police, which in some aspects it really needs to be taken care of, because it's a fucking war zone out there. But the brains behind the officer who's using it, that's a little bit suspect.
That's the problem. What about like cop movies and cop TV shows? Has that ruined? Like, does that ruin it for you, or are you ruined watching good movie? Like,
I don't watch them. I can't
watch them at all.
I think when I first got on, I was watching Bad Boys, and I'm like, all I kept thinking about is, I'm like, holy shit, the report.
Yeah.
You'd have to write. I mean, like, and then we pursued going eastbound on Main Street at 110 miles an hour, leaning out the window, shooting the tires. The reports themselves would be insane. Cop shows are fucking shit. They're a joke. The CSI crap was always hilarious, because we had this big influx of especially females, like 10 years ago. I want to be a crime scene investigator. It's like, do you understand what you're really looking at?
You watch too much Criminal Minds, bitch.
You go to a fucking suburban apartment, and the only crime there is like, somebody walked in their yard in the middle of the night, and that person, to them, it was serious. It's like, no, somebody cut across your grass to avoid walking in the street. And what, you're going to go out there and dust for fucking latent boot prints and shit? It's very boring.
Are there any cop shows or movies you liked that were like, okay, this doesn't suck as much?
No, I stopped watching them. Maybe Reno 911, because it was funny.
That's funny. Yeah, that makes sense. I like that. Okay. I like The Shield. Younger. I was one that came out. I like that show.
A couple seasons of it, and the cliques are definitely in law enforcement.
I was going to say, what I liked about it was it showed some of the dirty side and the bad side. It wasn't afraid to show, hey, these, Vic Mackey running around fucking cracking skulls. I
didn't think that shit existed in law enforcement. I'm like, nobody does this, and then you learn your own command staff is scum fucking like that. So I didn't think it existed.
So what was the biggest thing you saw besides the camera shit, which is ultimately what ended up leaving? What was like an oh shit moment? Like, holy fuck, you're doing what? Or you saw someone else do something that was highly inappropriate or illegal, or what? Anything you ever saw? Was just...
It was always little shit. It was taking the new guy and who shouldn't have been there. He's got 3 months on. and we wrote I write a letter to the chief, a memo, and my commander writes a memo saying this officer is not qualified. They're going to get themselves hurt. And you list the reason why. You have to, when you write a report or a memo, you better have the timestamp and it's got to be completely factually based and evidence based. So there's no room for you to go, well, I thought and I saw it. No, you better know your shit. So you write it and you say, Chief, this guy's got to go. He's going to get one of us killed or fucking hurt.
Yeah.
Train him better. Are you fucking kidding? Because they'll never bounce anybody after they put that investment in them. So then you learn the command staff doesn't fucking care. Then this guy pulls somebody over, and because the woman is a fucking bitch to him and stop, he goes, I'm writing her for everything. Then he's writing 12 tickets to a fucking woman who's got a beater car that's just got 3 kids in there. She can't afford shit. They live in a poor ass fucking town, and you're going to punish this person because you can. It was little.
Because you had a bad day. Yeah.
It was little shit like that. We also, some bigger moments. We had the G.I. Joe Glenowitz case in 2015, which made national headlines, international headlines. We had a police lieutenant from Fox Lake, Illinois,
remember this
murdered
story.
September 1st, 2015. What we had learned was he was murdered by 3 guys, and we had this massive manhunt. And for like fucking 3 months, it was like we were all on edge until we find out that it was all a lie. And they knew from day one, hour one, that it was a fucking lie. And they told me, oh yeah, the shit I learned, because it was all done. The investigation was all done in my department. And when I got fired, all of a sudden my phone started ringing off the hook by people who were just like, I'm not telling you who I am, but let me tell you the shit that I fucking know.
Wow.
And I got to know the coroner who was there at the time, and he told me the reality of the shit that happened. But it was the lie that we were told about that. And then
just to recap real quick, that was a suicide, right? What happened with that guy?
I personally have my personal opinions. Who puts a gun? For those who don't know, Charles.
Yeah, please recap because I actually used to work up in that area too. So that area around Lake, worked up in the McHenry area. So the area is kind of it was Fox Lake, right? What happened?
It was Fox Lake. I was around Lake Park cop.
I remember the actual. Yeah. Anyhow, please recap the story. Yeah.
It's 6 a.m. He doesn't answer. He says he's going to be out with 3 by some industrial area in Fox Lake, and then 20 or 30 minutes afterwards, you get another officer who keys up. You got an officer down. 400, officers and federal agents hours later are now investigating a manhunt because he's been shot and killed, and his uniform is thrown, and all of his duty weapons are thrown all over the place. Months later, after a manhunt turned up nothing, my chief, after 2 months or 3 months of investigating with Lake County Major Crimes Task Force, determined this was a high, well-orchestrated suicide over embezzlement of $3,000 that he stole from the Explorer Fund, and his son's girlfriend, he was fucking, and it was this and that, blah, blah. The reality was, apparently, according to one of the coroners, he claims that the FBI was in contact with them, and he says allegedly he saw 3 of Glenowitz's bank accounts, and they had $250,000 in cash in his bank accounts. The investigation concluded that he took his .45 caliber pistol and shot himself in the chest, or the vest first, then proceeded to wear the vest exposed by the shirt, and then pulled the trigger there. And I've always said, who the fuck shoots themselves in the vest carrier first and says, okay, this was so painful, I'm going to do it again. And then
but for real this time. Yeah.
I personally believe that Lake County is so fucking corrupt, and nobody pays attention to this shit because Chicago is a lot bigger. I'll give you an example. And I have no proof of this whatsoever. Prior to my starting with the Round Lake Park Police Department, the evidence locker was broken into. And according to some of the other officers there was never an Illinois State Police investigation into it. According to my partner, the chief of police said, what happens in house stays in house. We're doing our own investigation, which is completely illegal. Then you get Glenowitz suddenly has a bag of cocaine in his desk drawer at his department. You mean to tell me a police lieutenant
was that fucking dumb to leave coke in his fucking drawer? Like, come on.
Right.
Yeah,
So you know what I mean? It's like, I believe there was a lot more shit there. What I personally believe is that they knew day one, hour one, something happened with Glenowitz, and then they took the next 2 months to make him the evilest person on the fucking world, to take all the light off them. Because why would you take a beloved man like that, who allegedly embezzled $3,000 from the Explorer Fund, and you plaster him all over town. The porn sites he's on, he's fucking his son's girlfriend, he's a criminal. Why would you not let that man's legacy die in peace when you knew all this information and just say he committed suicide? That's all.
Right.
This wasn't elaborate. He was having some mental health issues. He committed suicide. So I've always said, fuck my former chief. I think he was in on it. I'm very suspect about the shit that went on, and the public was not told the truth.
Do you believe he was murdered and unsure why? Or what do you think the motive was?
I think there was something nefarious at play. You do not shoot yourself fucking twice in a suicide.
Right. I agree. Unless, again, I don't even want to argue about this. This is personal to you. But, like, if you were that fucking crazy and you really wanted to look otherwise, maybe you would. I don't know.
The guy was beloved. He was fucking beloved by so many people. And, whatever issues he was having, if what they say was true, right? You're claiming that he was caught embezzling $3,000 from the Explorer
It's
Fund.
fucking nothing. I mean, to anybody, that's nothing. Right.
Nothing. How they would have handled it, if he was caught in his department with how high ranking he was with the good old boys club, it would have been like, dude, Glenowitz, all right, listen, you got to retire. We're going to make this go away. You got to retire. And they would have never exposed
it. It must have been much bigger than that, is what you're saying.
I think it was something else that fucking came to play, yes.
And wasn't the manhunt, they had like 3 suspects that they identified or something? Or tried to make it seem like?
2 black guys and a white guy.
Yeah. Like, how fucking cartoonish is that?
Well, he called out. Glenn was called out. I'm out with 3. And then that was it.
Yeah.
So, I think it was so fun. But, and 2 other moments were Marnie Yang and Melissa Kaluzinski. Again, it's all available online. Anybody can Google Melissa Kaluzinski, and you can see the 9 hours on YouTube of video interrogation done by my chief of a girl with a 70 IQ who confessed to killing a toddler that medical evidence proves she didn't kill. And she's sitting and rotting in prison right now for 30 fucking years. It shows this, and the same thing with Marnie Yang. Marnie Yang has been convicted of killing ex-Chicago Bear Gail Sayers' 9-month pregnant girlfriend, and she's serving 30 years in prison, and evidence proves she didn't fucking do it. And the same guy to investigate all 3 cases was my former chief, George Folenko.
So why isn't there anybody else raising the fucking sound of alarm?
Everybody has. Everybody has. No one cares. No one cares. The policing is so fucking corrupt that everyone's wondering, like, you're so angry and you're so bitter. Of course I am.
Yeah, you've seen it because you've seen it, right? If you saw how the sausage was made, you wouldn't eat it either. Same shit. Right.
I'm heartbroken over what happened. I'm angry at what happened, and I don't like lies, and I hate hypocrisy. I mean, like I said, I talked to the coroner. No one would help us at the time. I went to the sheriff. I can't remember his fucking name. Mike. Oh God, I can't remember his name. I argued with him about you're the sheriff. How could you not have blown the whistle on this back then? Nobody would listen to me. FBI didn't care. Illinois State Security didn't care because they were all tied together. They were all tied together, so nobody would have done. Anytime I went to like the FBI for something, you'd find out that the guy I spoke to was actually friends with my chief, and I'm like, fuck.
So like when you watch all these movies, I watch a lot of movies, right? But it's like the leaks, right? The leaks are real. The leaks that come down, that's the most probably real thing about any cop show or any cop movie or any kind of conspiracy movie. The leaks, they're such a big fucking deal, man. It's crazy. And
it's what you could prove. I had a phone call with a guy who, again, he called me after all this shit happened, and he said, listen, I'm so-and-so. Your chief stood up in my wedding. I'll tell you exactly how he got to where he got to. How? He was the middleman for all of us who had badges, brass badges, or getting our cocaine. What? So it's all what you could do for influence to gain leverage on somebody else.
Yeah. It's unfortunate that the people we have to rely on the most when we need them the most are often not the most best people, or however you want to word it, man. What about going in outside of the cop thing? I don't know how much time you got. This has been going great.
Whatever you want.
But I didn't mean to just focus on the shittiness of the cop. It went great organically, but you do other things now too, right? I mean, you've been out of the force for a while. I'm assuming you're paying your bills somehow. Like, what do you do for a living now, and what does that do? I mean, what is your?
I run podcasts, and I'm a huge proponent of network marketing. I've been in the industry for 12 years. MLM, the dreaded pyramid scam, and I take the same energy and compassion that I do with condemning and vilifying how shitty law enforcement is in the same industry of network marketing, and how people just are the industry is not a scam. The shitheads who are doing it and promoting it wrong are.
So give an example.
You can make $6 million in your first 6 months. All you got to do is recruit 2 people. It is shit.
So what do you do actually then? Would you actually just
network marketing? It's what I do. And it's sales. It is literally, I sell a product. And if you're interested, I'll fucking recruit you. It's as simple as that. And I'll teach you how to sell a product. And I've debated so many people who are in the anti-MLM industry. It's a scam. It's a pyramid scam. Everything's a fucking pyramid scheme. Everything. Right. I had chief, lieutenants, sergeants, patrol. It's a fucking pyramid everywhere.
Look at your government. Look at your military. Look, it's all pyramid. Yeah.
Yeah, the second I learned exactly what network marketing is, which is direct sales, and I went, holy shit, I'm just responsible for sales. And my job as a cop was to talk you into handcuffs and make you think it was a phenomenal idea. I went, I am already a fantastic sales.
Life is sales.
Holy shit, dude. So yeah, I do network marketing. I still teach martial arts. I run podcasts, and that's how I make my living.
That's awesome. So in the marketing side of things, what's the sales? What's the product?
The company I'm with is Juice Plus. I've been with them since 2012.
Okay. That's awesome. I'm recently in sales. I'm in life insurance, and the MLM you mentioned, right? I never did that before. I went straight from building power lines into working at Northwestern Mutual, just Northwestern Mutual. So there was no recruiting. It was just sales, right? Well, little did I know, I was the bottom of that pyramid, right? People upline were getting my overrides or whatever. I then get recruited over to a different company, Penn Mutual. Same thing. I'm just at Penn, and then Penn's great, and I'm not knocking them in any way. They're still fantastic, but there's different people that they don't like when they're underwriting, right? They have different prejudice to certain athletes or to certain careers, financial income. They're kind of very...
What's up, guys? I know you're enjoying the podcast, but I want to pause this. I want to bring some attention to my sponsors, Telso Tequila. I want to go over a few cool little facts with these guys. So they are from Las Vegas, and there's thousands of tequilas in the world. Telso is one out of only 40 tequila brands that owns their own distillery. So it's super unique. It's a big flex, right? It's really fucking cool. So based out of Las Vegas, super rad. Check them out. Use our discount code FINAD20, TelsoTequila.com.
On who they want to do. I want to broaden my horizons and have clients all over the spectrum. So I joined one of those MLM companies to give access to my clients, other carriers, right? So that's newer to me. As far as recruiting agents underneath me and stuff like that and training them, I'm just recently doing that. But you get those people, MLMs are scams. I'm like, what I'm doing is not a scam. Like, people need life insurance and people need to be educated about that. And I need to educate people underneath me. And I should be compensated by taking my time to train them. So where the fuck is the scam at? I'm sure there's some scams out there and some schemes out there, but
the scam is
that's everything though.
You're going to make 6 figures in your first 6 months. That's the lie. Yeah. It blows me away. There's a ton of people who are online who do anti-MLM content, and they produce nothing. They will take, if I do a video talking about network marketing, they will take my video, like we all do, and they'll critique it online. And you'll have thousands of people in the comments who've been burned by MLM, and that's how they get paid, because their YouTube video goes up. And I will always say, you're leveraging your network to make fucking money, but I'm not recruiting people to make money.
You're doing the same fucking thing, right? Yeah, exactly.
And I've talked about it times. Recruiting does not fucking pay. It's literally, it's recruiting somebody because that's the next tier you get. And if they don't sell, you don't make money. So literally, you're busting your fucking ass to make sure you sell for that.
To train them. Yeah. Yeah.
And you don't get training in network marketing. It's like, it blows me away. Hey, well, what do you do? We just got to call 2 people. And
then what? Right.
Call 2 people. So I can't say, you have to learn how to handle their objections. You have to learn how to present, how to pitch, how to close, how to read the room. It's sales. And if somebody doesn't have any sales background, and they get an MLM, go fucking learn sales. It's very simple.
Yeah. I was very fortunate. I did very well in sales early because I think 2 things. One is I'm kind of a people person. As much as I hate people, I like to say that I hate people. I think you can relate to that. But I also can talk to people, right? But also I came from a background of building power lines, and much like cops, linemen have an ego. Linemen don't like to talk to anybody besides linemen. Linemen think they're better than everybody, right? And they're just to have that ego, and maybe it takes that to do the job, right? But people who are in life insurance or in sales in general, linemen stiff that shit out and don't want to talk to them. Oh, I'm not going to be sold. Fuck you, blah, blah, blah. They're just, right? But if I go talk to them as a lineman, it was very easy to break that wall down and talk to them and make it make sense, okay? Well, then I got some traction there, and then I was able to go and talk to other people, right? But sales background, completely just out here raw dogging it, right? So now I'm in a career, my career where I'm actually taking the initiative to learn, CRM and automation and actual sales skills, because I'm branching out into so many more sectors that now I'm talking to Karens and soccer moms that have no idea I used to build power lines. It's like, wait a minute, like how did I even get to this part? But now the actual sales skills and all that shit's actually coming into play. So I agree. I think sales is life, and it's the best way to make the most amount of money.
It requires people skills, which is great. And I personally find it rewarding because fucking if you don't know what you're talking about, you're eating alive, and it's hard work. It's great hard work. So I enjoy it.
It is. Now that being said, like there's no more physical aspect to my job. Now I've always worked out, trying to stay healthy. Building power lines was a physical job. I still went to the gym. Now it's like I absolutely have to go, because if I don't, I will fucking balloon up, because there's no longer a physical requirement to my job. It is strictly on me going to the gym. Now, did that change for you as a cop? And it's not as maybe as strenuous, but you're moving around a little bit more than maybe what you're doing now. I mean, did you find a difference in working out?
Less. It was still the one plane range of motion. Hey, it's Monday, International Chest Day, and mid summer last year, I started coaching wrestling again, and I went, oh my God, this fucking kills me because I don't move this way anymore.
Sure.
So, I'm always active. I'm always physically active. I work out, 6 days a week, and I'll be 50 in March, and I'm at that point where I'm like, I don't want to believe, well, you're going to lose strength and shit, and you're going to do this. I really don't want to buy into the hype of crap. So I'm trying to train just as hard. I'm not doing that train smarter, not harder shit. And I refuse to kind of give into that. Well, you got to soften stuff up. Crap.
I'm glad you're like that, because I'm starting to recognize that I'm immortal, right? I'm 38. I'm like, okay, well, I'm not as young as I used to be, but I still have all the same strength. I haven't had any injuries. And I tell myself that one day I'm not going to be able to bench 315 or squat 500 pounds, but not today. If I keep moving that down the line, it maybe never goes away. I don't know. But I'm holding on to it, knowing that Father Time's undefeated, but I'm gonna try and give him a run for his money. I mean, so it sounds like you train the same way.
I was thinking about it today. I'm like, 65 is when I'm gonna start to change things. So I'm not slowing down anytime soon.
Yeah. So that being said, let's talk about like supplements or TRT. Are you on any TRT, or how do you feel about that?
Any man who's over 35 that doesn't look into TRT, you are fucking stupid.
Yes.
I went I started getting on TRT at 39, and I went to the doctor. And because I just was like, I felt blah. I could still get an erection. It wasn't a fucking problem, but I just was not in the mood for shit. I started to grow some adipose around my midsection and all this crap. And the doctor, he goes, hey, your free test is at like 140. And I went, oh, what's it supposed to be at? 800 and 900. I did like everybody else, where it was the doctor prescribed TRT. And then I thought, well, if a little's good, a little bit more will be good. And I experimented with some stuff, and no, now all I run is test. I went over the summer, like the highest I was at was 375 a week of testosterone sipnate, and I felt my blood pressure going up. So I'm like, I'm going to back off. So the highest I go is I'll do 250 a week, divided up into 2 or 3 dosage, or I'll just like now for the last 2 months I've been 125 a week. That's it, nothing else.
When you check your levels, what's your level at when you're running?
I haven't checked my level this year.
Okay. I usually get mine checked. I try to stay around 1,000 to 1,200. I like 1,500 sometimes, but they always back me off if I get too high. So I just agree with you on that. As far as if you're over 35, I even say 30, get your levels checked at least. See if it's worth it, because with all of our food and dieting and plastics and shit, it's naturally coming down over time. So I think there's just the stigma is slowly leaving, erasing about TRT. I think more people are coming out, like you and I are talking about it, saying, if you're fucking 30 years old, go look into it. Because I think it used to be one of those things, well, I get my testosterone from my balls, I don't need a shot. It's like it's an ego thing, but no, it's like now, fucking get it, dude.
No, and you'll get used to putting the needle in you. And diet was
huge. I hate needles. I fucking hate needles, by the way.
And I found out a couple of months ago that they were talking about intramuscular versus subcutaneous and the fat. Now studies are saying, after all these fucking years, that actually injecting into your fat, like where your love handles are, is a better, smoother distribution of the compound into your fucking body. And I'm like, You motherfuckers! I've been saying
No
this.
shit. Yeah.
So yeah, I go love handles, man. Jack that shit up all day long.
Okay.
Yeah, if you ever hit the nerve in your ass.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
That's fun.
Oh, it's a motherfucker.
Oh my
So
god.
I always tell the story. I love telling because it's funny to me, but I fucking hate giving blood. Hate it more than anything in the world. Giving blood is my fucking kryptonite, and don't let the beard, the fucking tattoos fool you. I am a gigantic pussy when giving blood, okay? So this story fucking cracks me up every time I tell it. But when you're taking TRT, you're supposed to donate blood or blood dump, whatever, or occasionally, just because your blood tends to thicken, get your levels checked, and you should, whatever, right? So giving blood's one thing. Dumping blood is a whole other level of fuck off, right? So I don't do it as often as I should. Probably could or should do it, 2 or 3 times a year. Some guys do it every 8 weeks, right? It's crazy. But I fucking go in for this one time, and the lady who's doing it is aware of my fucking handicap. She knows I fucking hate doing it. I'm talking putting earbuds in, look away, stick me, let me know when we're done. For the donating of the bag, I rarely can get a full bag before I have to say, fuck, I'm done. I'm done here. This one particular time, I go in, I get the blood dump. I do almost a full bag. I'm pretty happy, pretty proud of myself. But I'm feeling pretty woozy. I'm like, all right, get this out of me. I'm done. Wrap me up. And I'm hungry now. I'm a little lightheaded, so I'm going to go across the street to go get fucking Jersey Mike subs or some sub sandwich, right? It's pouring out rain. Park the car, walk in the store. And in the car, I ripped the bandage off. It's been about 5 minutes or so. I'm thinking I'm fine. Walk inside. It's pouring rain, right? So I walk inside. I'm standing in line. So hungry. I can't wait for the sandwich to be made. I'm grabbing a bag of chips. I'm opening the chips. I'm eating the bag of chips, waiting my turn in line. And I get a tap on the shoulder. Sir, are you okay? I'm like, yeah, what's up? She goes, you're fucking bleeding everywhere. I look down, dude. There's a fucking pool of blood at my feet. There's a trail out the door. I don't feel it because it's raining out. My arms are all wet anyway. I'm like, holy fuck. So I'm holding my arm up and shit. And, it's a fucking scene. No one knows why this guy who looks like me is full of blood. I'm like, relax, just donated blood and shit. So long story short, I call this lady after I tell her the whole story. She's cracking up because she tells me, wrap it up, leave it on you for a while, don't take it off. But I was too, proud to wear the bandage and to get my sandwich and shit. I'm leaking blood everywhere. I say all that to still say that even though I have a complex, I still do it because it's that important. The TRT is that important to my well-being, overall quality of life. There's nobody that hates giving blood more than me, and I still do it for the effect of what TRT does.
Diet is now the big thing that I'm so fucked in the head over. And I was talking with my girlfriend last night about this, where it's like, I do the carnivore. It's like for 3 months in a row. And then I get off of it because it's like holidays here or something. That shit fucking works from day one. Every time I start carnivore, I sleep better immediately that night. No bloat. I mean, I put a quarter of a piece of Wonder Bread in me and I bloat. So I'm like, I don't fit in my fucking clothes. But the problem is in my mind, I'm going, well, I can't put up big numbers without carbs.
Without carbs, right.
Now I'm all fucked because I'm online. I look at everything from all the powerlifters and say, no, you don't need carbs to fucking bench and squat and this. And then last night, I'm so paranoid because today was squat day and I'm like, fuck this. So I take 3 packets of instant oatmeal and I ate that last night around 8 o'clock.
For the carbs for the day. Yeah.
Because I find out, well, then everything's a theory because then there's studies that say it doesn't matter when you take the carbs. It just happens whenever. Then it's all of a sudden carbs at night are not bad. So I'm at the point where
we're raised thinking that don't eat bread before bed.
It is so overwhelming. I don't know what works other than straight fucking carnivore works. Meat, I have eggs, I have the white cheese. I don't have American cheese. All I do is ground beef, eggs, and that's it. And I have that all the time, right? And high fat content, all this shit.
Yeah.
But mentally, even though I feel good, I'm like, oh, I'm losing strength. I'm losing strength.
But are you? When you feel it?
I keep everything documented, and it's the contradiction I have is I'm at this weird place aging too, where all of a sudden my joints hurt like crazy, and I can push weight, but holy shit, if elbows and shoulders aren't killing me, and it's like what? So I don't know if it's inflammation from just coming off of a Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's carb shit, and so the diet is the biggest part for anybody, and trying to figure out what works for you is probably so overwhelming that analysis paralysis kicks in like crazy.
I was just going to say that. I think so many people get caught up on the perfect needs to be perfect before I start, they never start. Right. And I can be right. I'm right there with you with the overwhelming of the dieting. Right. So to me, I try to keep everything simple. I never plan a day off the gym. I just go. And if I get tired, if I work 38 days in a fucking row or work out 30 days in a row, then I maybe I'll take a day off. Right. But I always have shit that comes up anyway, inherently with scheduling and traveling. If I plan days off, then I had 3 days off from traveling, it's going to fuck me up. So I always just go. If I go until I can't go, and usually travel or something comes up to where I can't go enough in between that it doesn't have to schedule the day off. That worked for me. The dieting, what has always worked for me is intermittent fasting. Is I'll try not to eat until about noon, eat until about 8 p.m. as strict as I can. And this way, if I do fuck around on the diet, not as good as it should be, at least I'm intermittent fasting. At least it's trying to burn off in the next day, and that's always been my sloppy dieting, right? I have tried keto. I felt better on it. I did for was it like 6 weeks, maybe 8 weeks, 2 months, whatever, 90 days. And I saw a visible change, but then you read up on, well, you can't, your brain runs on carbs, or you read all these fucking things. It's like, if you eliminate things completely, it's not always great either, but use it as a tool to then get yourself back into it. Maybe you do carbs, no carbs 5 days, carbs for 2 days. I don't know the actual answer, but I'm right there with you. I believe that people need to try to figure out something that works, because it's better than nothing. It's better than cheeseburgers and fucking fried chicken.
I saw immediate results, and you lose you lose weight quickly. 13 pounds in 19 days on fucking carnivore, like it's nothing.
Yeah.
And it's like,
what about the shits? Did you get the carnivore flu or the shits? I've heard about that.
No, I never got any. I had nothing.
You've heard of that though, right? Or you were prepared for that, or at least researched or heard that might happen?
I shit 4 times a day, anyways. And everything's a theory. It's like now I'm finding out creatine dose 5 milligrams or 5 grams is not enough. You got to have 10. It's like everything's a fucking theory.
Everything changes,
so
right?
Overwhelming. And then 2, being 50. Well, you should only work out 3 days a week. What?
Yep.
I can't.
No.
I was talking to my girlfriend last night, and it's like, if I give myself a Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and let's just say yesterday was chest day, and that means I give myself a full 7 days of recovery, I will find every excuse in the world not to go. Well, I don't have to go Tuesday. Then I won't go Wednesday. I'll make it up. So I don't buy that shit either, that the older you get, you need a longer time resting. I believe we probably have great quality of sleep and the right amount of, protein and carbs to recover. I think we'll be fine. It is so overwhelming. And the one thing I have to say about this is we just need to get these fucking 20-something-year-old influencers offline claiming they can get ripped off a cake and ice cream. You're fucking 22 years old. Shut up.
Yeah, exactly. Show me someone who's 50 who's ripped. I'll listen to him. You know what I mean? That's the difference. I think that,
Michael,
you almost want to look.
Whatever he says, I'll listen to.
Well, I love that. One of my best friends is a big Mike O'Hearn fucking fan, right?
Guy's
he
awesome.
swears he is great. And I also have nothing to say bad about him, except that there's no fucking way he's natural. And I will die on that hill.
I couldn't care less.
But I don't care either. It's almost a joking point between myself and my buddy Matt, because he is a fucking nut hugger, loves him to death, and no reason not to. But no, he's natural. I'm like, dude, come on, you're a smart dude. Every other aspect of your life, Matt, you're smart. How are you so fucking dumb to believe that he's fucking
when Liver King came out?
Dude, how fucking funny was that? That was obvious from day one.
I take his desiccated liver; they're fucking great. But
nothing wrong with it. But don't tell me you're natural, or don't. What the fuck are you doing?
What blows me away is my generation had a Liver King. His name was fucking Joe Weider. And you had to go to the grocery store and get the Joe Weider fucking cans of weight gainer and mass builder. And then Lou Ferrigno with his
mass builder. I remember that shit. Oh yeah.
And it's like, holy shit, this Liver King shit is nothing new. We've had this forever.
Right. Where are you at with sports? Are you a big sports fan at all?
No, not at all.
Not at all. You mentioned the '85 Bears. No, I didn't know where you thought about PEDs in sports and the whole.
Why not? Why are we not allowing it? Let them do it. No, but I was around for the Barry Bonds and not Barry Bonds was
Sosa McGuire.
Sosa, because I was a Chicago Cubs fan. So 100%. Well, steroids make you hit the ball. Dude, you can't. You will not really won't build your coordination.
Right.
But if it gave them more power, it made it more entertaining. I think people should be juicing out of their fucking minds.
Exactly. Yeah. It's entertainment. And I think that that Gordon Ryan, I think his name's Gordon Ryan, the jiu-jitsu guy, he came out just recently and talked about it. He goes, guys want to see entertainment. They want to see the most ripped up guy against the next group. You don't want to see fat slob because he's natural. It's like
I
and I
never
think that
understood why we're obsessed with this fucking, oh,
yeah,
you're on steroids. Well, why the fuck aren't you, stupid?
right, right,
Dumb.
right. I think that it's also moderation, man. I think there's a stigma against doing that. I think you could easily do steroids safely. There's a way to do it. People have done it.
105%.
People have done it. People have done. Look at Arnold Schwarzenegger. Also, I believe that if you're going to do it to make money, there's a reason to do it, right? If you just do it just to look good, maybe not. Health concerns, whatever. But if you have a career that depends on you looking good or quality of life, but go for it, man. Who the fuck am I?
think everybody, I think it's so stupid that a fucking
Yeah.
hormone is a class X felony in this fucking country. It's ridiculous.
Is that what it is?
It's a controlled substance. It's
Holy
so
shit!
stupid.
I had no idea.
So
That's
stupid.
wild.
I think you thank Joe Biden for that. I think he was in on that.
You think Joe Biden for a lot of fuckery?
Yep.
Fuck it. All right. I don't really have any other fucking questions, man. This has been great. I do have a couple questions for you on the last little rapid fire shit, man. Conspiracies. Are you a big conspiracy guy? What's your favorite conspiracy?
That 9/11 wasn't planned.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's an easy one. Okay. What's your take on JFK?
Inside job, 100%. It blows me away how we literally find out what Tucker Carlson, 2 years ago, talked about somebody on the whistleblower talk, and no one cares. You literally find out that it's true that a U.S. citizen, U.S. sitting president, was executed by his own fucking government, and we're all like, oh, that's cool.
Do you think that that's the reason Trump won't release the files is because it names the CIA?
I voted for Trump twice. I didn't vote in 2016. The first time I ever voted in a presidential election was 2020, and then I voted for him in 2020 and 2024. I'm not a Trump worshiper. You know, if he does great. I don't think that one man's going to save the fucking country. I think that's why he lost in 2020 is because we all sat back and said, oh, Daddy Trump is going to fix everything. We are lazy Americans who think that one person is going to do our job. I don't know. And I think he's part of the establishment as well, too. You look at just the recent funeral, Jimmy Carter, and you got him and Obama rubbing shoulders, laughing together. And I'm thinking, I ran for office. I ran for Cook County Sheriff, second largest county in the nation in 2018. And I had people fucking say the worst shit about me. I don't talk to them anymore. I had people who wouldn't defend me. I don't talk to them anymore. If I'm running for office for fucking 8 years or 16 years or 12 years, what he did, and you have one family constantly shitting on me, calling me a Nazi, calling me all this, I'm not fucking talking to you.
Is that a chance I'm ever going to smile at that man, right? It's going to take everything I can to not rip his fucking face off. Funeral, no funeral. They're keeping me separated. Exactly. Yeah, I agree with that.
People going, oh, Trump's just, he's playing 5D chess. He's being the bigger person.
Nah,
I grew up on Julie Carlin, and he said it best. It's a big club, and you ain't in it.
We're not in it, right? Exactly. I love it. Well, that wraps it up for me, man. We got any questions for me? Anything else? I mean, this has been great. It's been pretty good.
Promote you and support you and doing everything you're doing. What can I do for you?
I'll just we'll tag each other on this stuff. I think there's more to come from you and I. Maybe we'll do some fucking Instagram lives together. We can whatever the fuck, man. I think it's great. I think when I'm in Chicago next time,
any podcast I can have you on to promote what you're doing, 100%. I believe that the more we all sit there and tap into each other's audiences, I might have a couple thousand people look and go, holy shit, I need to follow this guy. I think that's what it's all about. We are way too selfish as social media. I'm fucking not an influencer at all. I'm just a guy who shoots his mouth off. And I think that it's so shitty that we have people who guard the rice bowl and with their blue check marks and they want to keep all the audience themselves.
The gatekeepers, yeah.
Yeah. Claps tomorrow. Who are you? So
right, exactly.